All right, so good morning, everyone. Today we have met again, and then we will discuss more about the good governance, and I will give you some explanation for the good governance itself, and then in the end, because for the good governance materials, we will have a review article, and you will have the assignment for that, so please be careful, and then if you have any question, please just let me know. All right, so when you heard about the good governance, what is what the meaning or what you are thinking in your mind? Good governance. Good governance mean, if in bahasa Indonesia, it is tata kelola pemerintahan yang baik. So because good and governance. Okay, so this is we call it why the background of the good governance. Why good governance appear? So there are 2 points here. First one is because there is development, political, social interaction, government and community. And then second one, because there is a system dynamic social politics, or we can call it in dynamic in a government itself. So uh, what what are point in development, political, social interaction, government and community? So first one, there is a social political shift where is the role of the private sector and institution community personnel increase. It means that because in the next word, or in the next statement, because previously the role of the government was more dominant. So like for example, in new order, or in last period, when Suharto or Sukarno just lead the government, it's it's it it's we called the government have the dominant actor, or the government have the dominant rules in a whole society. But then because today's, or because after the Sukarno and Suharto just retirement, then the government feels that all the capacity of the government is cannot accommodate all necessary of the society. So for the second reason, the condition more difficult, complex, dynamic, variety according to the development human needs. So that's why the government need other actors, other institutions. So in good governance, there are three important actors there. We call it government, private sector, and also the society. Society means like NGO or lembaga swadaya masyarakat. And limitation of the capacity of government application to accommodate the above condition, as I mentioned before, because the government feels that the government cannot fulfill the necessary or the needs of the society. So that's the important reason why government needs others actors. And then there is a government private community collaboration. Yeah, because that's all the actors in good governance. And because there are globalization, development of social and technology, and liberalization, and then there are free competition, uh, and then science and technology change public sector and business management, and so forth. So basically the background of why good governance appear in this period, because sometimes government government needs other actor, and then government feels that he or they cannot fulfill all the um, needs of the society. So that's why government have to collaboration with community and also the private sector. And why second reason is about the system dynamic in social and politics in Indonesia, because for the internal, I mean, like inside of Indonesia situation, multi-dimension crisis political situation is unstable. Threat of disintegration, public trust is decreased, law enforcement is weak, handling of KKN, it means like collusion, corruption, and nepotism. And before the good governance appear, also they have slow economic recovery, unemployment and poverty and are increasing, and so forth. So basically, to accommodate all the problems in Indonesia that appear, as I mentioned before, so Indonesia should or need a new strategy that we call it good governance. Okay, so um, for the complexity of political social system, there are three complexity here. First, it's about the selection and reduction, structure and operational. It's all in the government sector, and that's why they need to seek solution alternative that and selection of the best way. What about the implication of the government if the government just apply the good governance method of or good governance um, yeah, good governance before I mean, like before good governance apply in Indonesia, there are different approach, rigid bureaucracy, hierarchies, and also authority. But instead, for the good governance that's already applied in Indonesia, it will become modern governments that a dynamic, complex network, then still have the relationship flexibility, diversity of action and policy according to the situation and quality of interaction social politics. So it means that before the good governance or before this era, so the government sector are hierarchies, rigid bureaucracy, and then full of authorities. So it's make difficult, and then it makes not flexible. But after the government try to apply the good governance concept, so it become flexible, effective, efficient, and then transparent, and then accountable, and so forth. So that's the consequence, or that's the beneficial for, or that's the implication for the good governance itself. And if we are talking about international development, good governance is a way of measuring how public institutions conduct public affairs and manage public resource in a preferred way. So the governance is the process of decision making and process by which decisions are implemented. Okay, so this one is the government conception. If we try to uh, divide what is the government, what is the good governance, what is governance. So the definition of government itself is the uh, against change of development, state government organize development and public service. Governing, it means process of coordination, control, steering, and giving effect, influencing, and balance of each political, social interaction, relation, and so on and so forth. But what about governance? What is the differences between government and governance? So based on, I try to put the World Bank definition and also UNDP definition. But I think both is similar. I mean, the purpose of a governance is similar. So for the governance, government is the way of the power of the state used to manage. The keyword is manage. Manage the economic and social resource, use community development. So the way state power is used in managing economy and social resource for the development of the society. And how about the governance based on UNDP? It is implementing the political, economy, administrative authorities to manage the national problem on all levels. It means that what I said before, that the World Bank and UNDP have similar definition about the governance. The keyword is to manage all sectors. I mean, like to manage economic, social, political, administrative, social, and so forth. So that's the definition. And then how about the concept of good governance itself? So to understand of the good in governance, it means that the first one is value to appreciate it is high. And then second one, functional aspect, effective of government and efficient in achievement of object. So basically, the concept of good governance thus emerged as a model to compare in effective economies or political bodies with viable economics and political bodies. The concept center that responsibility of the government and governing bodies to meet the needs of the masses as opposed to select group in a society, because countries often described as most successful are liberal democratic state, but instead for Indonesia it's not really for the liberal democratic state, right? So good governance imply many different things in many different contexts. Okay, so this one is the government patterns that I mentioned before. Government try to have the function of coordinate, control, and also organize with dealing the diversity, with dealing with dynamics, and when facing the complexity. So good governance actually, yeah, they the good governance itself have two keyword or two concept. The first is values that upgrade or high, and then second one is function aspect to government effective and efficient. to achieve the purpose or the destination. So the value that high or of the value that upgrade is try to maintain or try to fulfill the desire or willing of the people, and then enhancement ability the people aim uh, national to independence, development, sustainable, and justice, social justice. So the 3 point here, it means that the welfare, the concept of good governance here wants to achieve the value that upgrade or the value that high is to make the three concept or 3 point here welfare for the society. Okay, and good governance orientation. So actually the orientation of the achievement of national objective refer to democracy in the state life with the element legitimacy, accountability, securing of human rights, autonomy and devolution of power, assurance of civil control. So that's the orientation. So good government try to legitimate, try to accountable, try to secure the human right, try to uh, uh, autonomy and devolution of the power, and try to assurance of try to keep the civil control. So that's the good things, right? Yeah, principle of the governance according to the World Bank and UNDP, I already mentioned before in the definition, so we can skip this. Okay, so the principle of the good governance according to OECF and World Bank is, yeah, of course, the good governance wants to make the democracy, avoid wrong allocation investment fund, the rare, and run disciplined budget, create the legal political framework, prevention corruption, and to make the efficient markets. So actually, according to Fukuyama, 2013, there are two dimensions to qualify governance as good governance. It's based on the capacity of the state and the bureaucracy autonomy. So, okay, the principle of good governance, yeah, there are participation, rule of law, transparency, responsiveness, equity, consensus orientation, effectiveness, efficiency, accountability, and have the strategic of vision. I will try to explain this one in the second presentation later. So, well, this is three domain of good governance. Yeah, as I mentioned before, I already mentioned in the beginning that we have three actors in good governance: state, private sector, and community. So, and then this one is the three legs of the governance: economic, political, and administration. It's based on the UNDP. So for the economic, yeah, of course, they will try to manage the economic problem, economic matters, and then political government is make the decision making process for policy formulation, and for the administration government try to implement the system of the policy. All right, so good governance in governance aspect. Okay, I think we can skip this. I will explain you in the second presentation. So the government success indicator. So the good governance will indicate to success factors or to success implementation if for the generally if the destination of is if the purpose of development is achieved. So for example, like quality of life better than before. And for the specifically Indonesia, based on the objective of reform, first is resolve economic crisis, fulfill the sovereignty people, and then enforcement law and human rights, putting basic framework agenda, and join public life, a whole public life, and for the fulfill of sovereignty people, there are divided into 2 points here: the national patriotic participation, political people, stability political. All right, so that's the first presentation, and then I will go through the second presentation. Okay, so I want to repeat again what is good governance mean. Good governance is action or behavior based on value that direct, control, or influence public problem to manifest this value in action and daily life. So basically, I would like to give you what is the definition again for the good governance itself. It means that the good governance is try to make the government transparent, and then try to make the government accountable with all sectors, not only government itself, and then try to reduce the corruption, try to reduce the nepotism, and so forth. So basically, good governance is approach to government that is committed to creating a system founded in justice and peace that protects individuals' human rights and civil liberties. So, also, according to United Nations, good governance is measured by the 8 factors. So here I would like to give you several factors like participation and rule of law, transparency, responsiveness, consensus-oriented, equity, and inclusiveness, effectiveness, and efficiency, and also the accountability. So for the UNDP itself, they give the additional one. It's call it the strategic vision. So we will try to understand one by one. First is about the participation. So it means that participation required that all groups, particularly the most vulnerable, have direct or representative access to the system of government. This manifests as a strong civil society and citizen with the freedom of association and expression. So it means that why the government need coordinate with other sector like private and also community that's representative by the NGO, because all citizens have right to involve in decision making, either directly or through legitimate representative. So that's why to ensure the participation of people, we need good governance, because without the good governance, maybe the participation of the people will decrease or just limited. And then second one, rule of law. So it means that exemplified by imparting legal system that protect the human rights and civil liberties of all citizens, particularly minorities, and that is indicated by an independent judicial branch and a police force free from corruption. So why we have um pay attention for the rule of law? Because public participation in the political process and the formulation of public policies require a system and legal rules. The keyword is without being balanced by a strong and law and enforcement, participation will turn into an anarchist political process. So if the rule of law is high or just trusted by people, I think the anarchist political process will no appear. But again, if the rule of law is lower, I mean, is a decrease, so it is possibility to have the anarchist political process. And what about the transparency? Transparency means that citizens understand and have access to the means and manner in which decisions are made, especially if they are directly affected by such decision. Like for example, if we know about the omnibus law, is it transparent? And you can indicate by these factors aspect of state management mechanism. At least they have eight aspect to call it transparency. And the information must be provided in an understandable and accessible format, typically translated to the media. So like for example, to determine of all position and wealth of public officials, awards established of police related the enlightenment of life and morality of the official and public services and security strategic policies for the enlightenment of people life. So the transparency at least have eight indicators. And about the responsiveness, it's simply to call responsiveness as involves that institutions respond to their stakeholder within a reasonable time frame. I mean, like the government must be sensitive of be aware and responsive to the community problems. And then about the agreement or consensus orientation, it means that demonstrate by an agenda that seek to mediate between the many different needs or different perspective and expectation of a diverse citizenry. So a decision needs to be made in manner that reflects a deep understanding of the historical, cultural, and social context of the community. So yeah, for the equity and inclusiveness, it means that depend on ensuring that all the members of a community feel included and empowered to improve or maintain their well-being, especially those individuals and groups that are most vulnerable. Um, and if we are talking about the effectiveness and efficiency, as I mentioned in the beginning, is it developed through sustainable use of resource to meet the needs of the society. So it's mean that sustainability refers to both ensuring social investment and carry through the natural resource are maintained for the future generation. And last but not least about the accountability. refers to institution being ultimately accountable to the people and one others. I mean, like the accountability. If we are back to the new eras, or in Suharto's era, so there that the government not accountable and transparent to the people. But now, because after amendment, we agreed to apply implemented the good governance. So it it requires to government to give the accountability to the people and also all sectors, including the private sectors. So this is includes governments, agency, civil society, and the private sector, all being accountable to another as well. And then the last one that I mentioned, uh, I mean, like United Nations have eight indicators, but for the UNDP, they give one additional about the strategic vision. So it means that the government should have the framework of the realization of good governance, because the world changes with the rapid technology. So in the end, step two, the manifest good governance is the first should strengthening the functions and roles of the representative institutions, as I mentioned in the beginning, because if like rule of law they have decreased, so I think for the strengthening for the function and role is it will be decreased. And independence of the judicial institution, professional government apparatus and full of integrity, strong and participate civil society, and strengthening regional autonomy effort. So um, what I want to deliver to you guys is that a good governance is a critical part of what creative learning does through the international peace, a security institute, and a global initiative. So actually, if we are talking about the good governance, the keyword for you guys to remember is uh, it the government will transparent, accountable, and then more flexible than before. So that's all the two presentation that I have. And basically, uh, for the good governance itself, I think not only for the good things that we learn about the good governance, but also the bad things. The bad things from the good governance is that this one, or the concept of good governance, is the consequence to the IMF, World Bank, because we just loan the money from the IMF and also World Bank, and then they required to implement the good governance. And what the consequence of the good governance itself. So if we are talking about the transparency and accountability, it's it's required to government have the accountability and also the transparency, all things to the international scope, to the especially to the IMF and also to the World Bank. So do you think that it is good for us to implement the good governance? As I mentioned before, that good governance give many beneficial for our country, but then the behind that, it is the consequence, because we loaned money from the uh, World Bank and also the IMF. So the consequence is we should or we have to um, apply the good governance in our country. But then, if we are talking about the accountability, transparency, should other country, should international scope, especially a World Bank and also IMF, know about that? So I think you have to give your opinion to this issue, because this is not the the new issue, but it's appeared a long time ago. Okay, so actually, um, yeah, I have one more presentation about your uh, about your sorry about your assignment. So the assignment is in a group. You will work in a group, and then you will try to analyze or try to review the article about the good governance. And for the requirements of the of or the provision of work, first is Igov class send one student as coordinator to determine the group, whether it's up to you. You will have the consensus, or you have the, I mean, like agreement how to choose people in one group. It's up to you. Then for me, just give the report at least on Saturday, November 14, 2020. And then the group consists of at least 4 students and a maximum of 5 students, and no more than 5 people, and you cannot choose only 3 people in one group. So at least 4 and 5 people for the maximum. And then third one, the review assignment was collected in form of a PPT. So you make the review in PPT or presentation, and a maximum of slide is 15, no more than 15 slides. And PPT contents of the first title, of course, and then second one, abstract, introduction, the content of the article, quotation, conclusion, and group comments of the article. And the last one is the discussion that containing the question and will answer by the other groups. And for the submitted for the assignment is on 29 November 2020, and no later than 23.559 time. So yeah, you have to consider about that, because you still have more time to work on it. And students are required to send a one person to be the group coordinator and submit to the my class on the specified date and time. I mean, like, you all guys in one group consists of 5 people, for example, but for the submit to submit it in the my class, only one people. I mean, like, 5 people should choose one people or one student to submit in my class system. Okay, I will give you the example how to make the presentation review article. So this is the we call it a title of the article. So you should give the title, you should give the group number, you should give the who is the lecturer, and then you should give your name, of course, with your ID number. I mean, like a student number. And then second one, you should make the content like, I mean, like outline, outline of the presentation. What are presentation that you will make? Like, for example, part 1, I will talk about the abstract. Part 2, I will talk about the introduction, and so forth. So make sure you have the outline of your presentation. And abstract means a short article that a short statement that contains a comprehensive description of the articles. In short, writer only needs to write an overall summary of an article. So after you read all article, I mean all pages in one article, so you should make the summarize. You have to summarize the uh, what is the you know content of the article. I mean, like what they talking about, and then what are they discuss, and then what about the result. And you just make a simple like this one, not too much word, because I don't like a student just copy paste in the word and then just give to the presentation. No, but you have to make your own word or own statement to make the abstract. So after that, in the part 1, yeah, you just make like this one. If you continue to the next part, you just give the part 2 about what, part 3 about what, and so forth. And then for the introduction, the content of the introduction is what will be discussed. And yeah, you just say that like for example, this article will discuss about blah 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 blah, and then this article, why this article just writing, because blah 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 blah. So just like that. And about the quotation are the repetition of one expression as part of another, especially when the quote expression is well known or expressly linked by the question or quotation to the original source and is marked by the interspace with quotation mark. I mean, like uh, when we read the article, so for remembering about the what article talking about is, you just give the quotation. So for example, like by Stephen Wheeler, they said that the fate of the earth depend on how human plan and manage the relationship between the human. But for example, if you are talking about the good governance, for example, by UNDP, good governance is managed about the political, economic, blah 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 blah. So just a short how to say, short statement by the writer or by the author. Okay, conclusion. Yeah, I think you all know about the conclusion. Conclusion is content what can be concluded from the article, just briefly, but overall uh, explanation about the article. Okay, and reflection. So here, reflection or comment from the article. You can give the feedback, you can give the comment, you can give the response to the rise issue or article itself. So all the statement that you write down later is a personal opinion. So after you read the article, what your comment, what your feedbacks from the article. So it means the reflection of the article. You can give the anything you want, like feedback, comment, or maybe you will have the opinion about the issue that write on the from the author. It's up to you. So for the discussion, you may give the one question, only one question, no more one question, and then you just ask or you just question for other groups. So I think all groups have to must have the article from other groups, so you can also learn, you can also read about the article that I will upload it later. Okay, so I'm so sorry, this is still in Bahasa Indonesia, but the article 1 will be group 1 and 2. Article 2 will be group 1 and 3. Article 4 will group 5 and 6, and so forth. And then how to answer the question? The question will be give by all groups, and then, like for example here, the group 9 and group 10 will answer the question from group 1 and 2. So for the answer question, one group have to answer 2 question. Okay, that's all. That's all my presentation. And if you still have any question about the assignment and then about the materials that I give to you, feel free to ask me by email or by WhatsApp group or personal contact. So that's all for the uh, meetings today, and hopefully you understand, and then you get the beneficial from this presentation that I explained to you. And okay, see you for the another chance. Thank you.